missed you so much. We celebrated Easter last week, which is my favorite holiday ever. Jesus died and rose again, and we celebrate on Easter Sunday that Jesus is risen and defeated sin and death. Now, if you watched last week's video, which you can find on the channel, you know that Jesus laid down his life on the cross willingly because he loves us.
Amen.
And that on the third day, he rose again.
Yeah!
He appeared to the disciples twice, and he appeared to hundreds of people. Following the 2 appearances he had to the disciples, he appeared to them again when they were on the lake fishing. They had been fishing all night long and they were exhausted. They hadn't caught any fish.
Fishy, fishy. I
don't see anything. Pulling up these nets. Nothing in here.
They hadn't caught any fish all night and they were discouraged and sad and exhausted. There was a man standing on the beach, and that man called out to them, "Have you caught any fish?" And of course they said no.
"Have you not caught anything today?"
And that man said, "Throw your net on the other side of your boat."
"Throw your net on the other side of the boat."
And they were thinking to themselves, "Why? We've been out here all night." So they called back and said, "We've been out here all night and we've caught nothing."
"Throw your net on the other side."
"We've been out here all day and we've caught nothing."
"Just do it."
Fishy, fishy.
But the man encouraged them to do so, so they threw their net on the other side of the boat, and to their shock and surprise, the net, when they pulled it up, was full of fish to the point where it was breaking, and they couldn't even get all the fish into the boat. Peter was on the boat when this happened, and he recognized that it was Jesus and jumped into the water to swim to Jesus.
Fishy, fishy.
Just try it.
It's a miracle! It's the Lord!
So Peter realizes that it's Jesus that's on the beach, on the shore. And he calls out, "It's the Lord!" And he literally jumps into the water to go to Jesus. And Jesus is already on the shore with breakfast, with
Fishy,
fish
fishy.
cooking. Already, even though the fish are in the boat, he's cooking fish and he has bread. And he invites the disciples to come and eat breakfast with him. And then there was a beautiful thing that happened on the beach. Before I tell you that part, I want to remind you that the interaction that Peter had with Jesus before he died was very sad. Now, 3 times Peter had denied Jesus the night that Jesus died, just like Jesus told him he would. And Peter was filled with guilt and shame and regret. And Jesus asks him 3 times a different question. He says, "Peter, do you love me more than these?" And Peter says, "Yes, Lord, I love you." And Jesus said, "Then feed my sheep."
"Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?"
Yes, Lord.
"Then feed my lambs."
Jesus asks, "Peter, do you love me?" a second time. And Peter says, "Yes, Lord, I love you."
"Simon, son of John, do you love me?"
Yes, Lord.
"Then take care of my sheep."
And then a third time Jesus asks, and it hurts Peter's heart because Jesus has to ask again. He says, "Peter, do you love me?" And Peter says, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." And Jesus says, "Take care of my sheep. Take care of my church."
"Simon, son of John, do you love me?"
Yes, Lord. You know all things. You know that I love you.
"Then take care of my church."
And Jesus put Peter in charge of the beginning of the greatest awakening ever, where many people would be saved. A movement that would go across the world. The salvation of millions and millions of souls, including you and I. And Peter wrote multiple books of the Bible with the help of Jesus. He stayed connected to the love of Jesus. The love of Jesus was big enough to restore Peter and forgive Peter and give Peter a beautiful, beautiful story. And the love of Jesus is big enough to restore you and I. This to his disciples. "I am the vine and you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will grow much fruit. But apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers, like branches that are picked up and thrown into the fire and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. When we think of a branch that grows on a tree, it has to stay on the tree in order to grow fruit, right? So if we have a tree and then the branches are chopped off, those branches are not going to fall to the ground and bear fruit. It's just not going to happen. That's not how trees work. But if the branch remains on the tree, it will grow lots of beautiful fruit as long as the roots of the tree are healthy. You see how these leaves have these little tiny branches on it, and then they're connected to the vine. And if the vine stays connected, right, then it grows fruit. Jesus is the vine, and we are the branches that grow the fruit. And of course, these are leaves, but he's talking about a tree that would grow fruit. Yeah! The fruit that he's talking about is not like apples and oranges, right? He's talking about the fruit of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And he's talking about how when we stay in him, we grow that kind of fruit in our life, because it's a product of relationship with Jesus. So it's not just about living a life where we can say, look at all the good things that I did for people. It's not about that. It's about, I stayed connected to Jesus. I put him first because he is the best thing in my life. And because I'm connected to the best thing and the best God, the true God, the living God who saves my life looks beautiful and produces beautiful things, because I worship a beautiful God. So in a place that we are in the world right now where there's fear and people are feeling hopeless and they're lacking self-control, you and I can be filled with the Holy Spirit and the fruits of the Spirit because we're connected to the vine that is Jesus. So in your home and everything that you do, you can be filled with that love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Yeah! Peter learned how to be filled with that through the power of the Holy Spirit. He didn't used to have a lot of self-control, but Jesus restored him and filled him with all of the things that he needed to do the work of God, and he does the same thing for you and I. Jesus tells us to do this. As the Father has loved me, I have loved you, so remain in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. My commandment to you is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends. For everything that I learned from my Father, I have made known to you. This is the challenge that I have for you this week. Find a way to show God's love to somebody in your home. Find a way that you can express God's love to them by showing love to them. That could mean helping your mom with the dishes, or letting your brother play with your Xbox when you really want to, or creating something beautiful for somebody else. Yay! It could mean praying with somebody in your family when they're having a hard day. Find a way this week to share the love of Jesus with somebody else, because you're connected to his love and he is in you and you are in him. I'm also going to challenge you guys this week, because you're the older kids, to read these scriptures yourself. I'm going to put them in the description of this video so that you can see them. And if you have a Bible at home, you can open them up to the scriptures that are listed there, or you can just read them under the video and the lesson plan that I send out. So look at the scriptures, read Jesus's words, and just meditate on them. That means just to think about them and think about the goodness of God. Ask God to help you understand what they mean deeper.
Put a shoulder and then hug each other.
It's a stormy. Sit.
You give me a sheep. All right, now try to herd the dog out of the boat.
No. Mush.
Ah!
Fish.
Mush him harder.
Go eat the fish. Go. Out.
Bye.